Happy Monday. Mr. McCarthy here again with the second post in our latest leadership insight on the subject of situational leadership. So last week I left you with this chart. Hopefully you've had a chance to save it or print it out. And this week I wanted to kind of work through how we use it, okay? I genuinely have a copy of this laminated and on the wall in my office where I work, and sometimes, you know, I know this kind of inside out and backwards now, but sometimes I just reflect on it to help me focus on the solution to a particular leadership challenge that I face. I find it, just a very simple kind of reference guide. I'm just going to keep it here for a second. All right, so let's get started. So this particular tool comes from Ken Blanchard's work, where he took situational leadership to another level. It kind of comes out backwards, I think, on video, but like I said, hopefully you have a copy yourself. And it refers, therefore, to situational leadership 2. And all that means is the work that Blanchard did to take it to another level. If we look at the upper part of the diagram, you'll see, 4 boxes. You'll see this kind of interesting line that comes through here, and these 2 axes, right? You've got the amount of directive behavior and the amount of supportive behavior. And then you have these 4 areas here with this line going through. You remember last week I talked about there are 4 different levels of development in an individual, specific to the task that they're faced with, okay? It's really interesting what they call them, right? So you'll see this piece of the diagram down here at the bottom, D1, D2 through D4. So D1 is low competence, high commitment, and they call that the enthusiastic beginner. D2 is somebody with some competence, low commitment. They call them the disillusioned learner. D3 is moderate to high competence, variable commitment. They call them, interestingly, the reluctant contributor. And then D4 is what they call the peak performer. That's high competence, high commitment. You'll see these outlined as I said, in the lower part of the diagram. It doesn't really matter what they're called. I just find the terms really interesting, and that's what they are officially in the Situational Leadership 2 model. The key is for the leader to be able to analyze and recognize what level of development and commitment, which of the 4 boxes their team member is in, specific to the task or goal that they're accountable for. So you could have a highly skilled, highly educated guy or gal, awesome at their job, but when they are faced with an entirely new role, a new task, a new activity, a new challenge that they've never faced before, they quickly become an enthusiastic beginner in that situation. So, for example, if tomorrow you ask me to build an aircraft engine, I am going to need you to tell me exactly what to do and how to do it. Make sense? So, I just want to talk a little bit more about these 4 areas. So, when somebody is an enthusiastic beginner in a certain situation, you should take the leadership approach that on this diagram is known as directing, okay? It's traditionally also known as telling. So normally at this level of maturity, the individuals or the team don't have much, if any, knowledge of the task. They are yet to learn the skills needed to be proficient, and so they need clear direction and guidance. And as a result, the necessity is to be told how to do something and what to do, right? So to that end, this style reflects much more of a kind of autocratic behavior for the leader, right? Simply put into kind of 4 points. When you're directing, it's highly directive, low supportive. That doesn't mean you don't support them. It means that you don't give them the support for them to do it themselves. The leader defines the roles. The problem solving, the decision making is initiated by the leader, and really it's one-way communication. When you have somebody though that is in this second box, right, S2, known as, if you recall it, the disillusioned learner. Here, you're going to be selling, traditionally is what it's known as. In the Leadership 2 model, it's known as coaching. So selling is the next step up in the development cycle. And although the leadership style is slightly less autocratic, it still requires a good degree of direction from the leader, whereby you now begin to explain ideas, the reasons behind the ideas, and this approach helps the individual or the team to start develop their skills and reasoning. So with this style, the leader begins to kind of sell their message, to influence and develop the team or the individual. So Blanchard calls it coaching. So it's high directive, right? So it's up here, but it's also highly supportive. So now the leader attempts to hear the followers, suggestions, ideas, and opinions. It's more of a two-way communication, but control of the decision making still remains with the leader. Okay. In the next box, remember we call this one the reluctant contributor. So the reluctant contributor is, where is it? It's upside down here. So here, right? So here we are participating, or what the Ken Blanchard 2 model calls supporting. So in participating, you've got somebody now that's at a level of development whereby the leader should adjust their style to reflect a more democratic stance, right? And focuses further on the relationships and less on the task direction. So here the leader allows the team or the individual to create their goals, but works with them, right? In doing so, right? So the main aim here is to develop a team or an individual further to take action, to think more autonomously, releasing the leash, so to speak, if you like, and giving them a greater scope for self-leadership. So again, Blanchard calls this supporting. So if you have an individual who is, in that high supportive, high directive, the focus of control shifts to the follower, right? To the person who you've given that task to. The leader actively listens, but the follower has the ability and the knowledge to do the task themselves. And that's when you'd apply that kind of approach. The final one is here, right? It's in this green box, right? Where you would use a more delegating approach. And if you remember, this is what we call our peak performer, okay? At this point in the cycle, the team or the individual is now competent. Their level of development is high with the task, remember, that they're charged with, right? The task at hand. And the leadership style you need to reflect is a much more hands-off approach. The manager now delegates goal creation, delegates decision-making to the team or the individual, and then as such, they competently get on with the task, right? Setting the goals, creating the plans, executing them autonomously. And here the leader is normally just kept abreast of what's going on, right, through regular updates. Blanchard calls this same thing, delegating. Now you've got low supportive and low directive. The leader discusses problems maybe with the followers. They seek a joint agreement on problem definition, but really the decision making is handed to that individual, to that team member, and they run their own show. And again, as I said, the key here is this is such a simple little way of you stepping back, making sure you're not micromanaging, making sure you're not overly burdening somebody with an activity, to which you haven't set them up to be successful. And like I said, what I often do is, okay, I'm faced with a situation, I've got a guy, I know that for the activity he's due to deliver, he's awesome. He's right here. He's a high performer. It's really important that you let them you let them run their own show, that you delegate. If I've got somebody here, right, that enthusiastic beginner, they need to be told what to do and how to do it, and they start to cut their teeth and show success. So just a great way, really simple, practical way. And I think the most important, most powerful piece of this is that opportunity to reflect and analyze, where do I think my person is, and therefore what kind of style or approach should I use. So that's it for now. I know there was a lot of information. Take the chart out. Next week we'll probably finalize on this topic. But as always, reflect, practice, and if you have any questions or feedback, I'd love to hear from you. As always, thanks. Bye.